Hey everyone, Austin here again with another quick play. Today it's going to be MUSHA Aleste, which is actually the Japanese version of MUSHA, which came out in North America under that title. This is a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up by Compile, and I've covered this game quite a bit on my channel over the years, and that's actually why we're doing the Japanese version today for this quick play, because I don't think I've ever actually shown off the actual Japanese version of this. I've always just done the North American version, which again is called MUSHA. Metallic Uniframe Super Hybrid Armor, I believe is what it is. Very long subtitle. Yeah, this is an excellent shoot 'em up for the Sega Genesis / Megadrive. One of my personal favorites. It's actually, honestly, not the most exciting shooter. It does get a little repetitious, but man, the visuals are just off the charts for when this came out, which was like 1990, and it's got a killer soundtrack. One of my all-time favorite shoot 'em up soundtracks. This is one of those games where I'll just fire up the sound test and just listen to it while I do stuff around the apartment. It's one of those games, and I love it. It's fantastic. I always love coming back to this, although I haven't actually played this in a while. It's probably been, man, several months at least, maybe longer, since I last fired this up. So, for those of you guys new to this series, this is like a casual, quick pick up and play sort of series where I'll fire up a game, see what we can do with it. And so we're going to see what we can do with MUSHA here, or MUSHA Aleste, which is, again, is the Japanese name. So we're going to actually play on the default normal difficulty. I think the last time I played through this game, I think I did a dedicated Let's Play many years ago on the hard mode, which is actually, you know, it's not too bad for like the first half of the game, but the second half, it gets pretty tough, and if you die, it's like, it's extremely difficult to recover. But you do have a sound test here, and it's even got, you know, names for all the tracks, which is awesome. A lot of, you know, video games from this time period, when there was a sound test or a music test, it was just a number, like the sound effect test right here. So, all right, let's go ahead and hit exit and go ahead and just jump into it. Now, all the story bits and stuff like that are going to be in Japanese, because again, we are playing the Japanese version. I actually enjoy the story in this game. You know, a lot of shooters from this time had very hokey, goofy stories, but MUSHA's is, while it's straightforward, I think it's actually executed very well. So I never play shmups for stories, but you know, it doesn't hurt if a game has a decent one, so, or one that's actually fitting at the very least. So one little trick here, you notice that I'm moving kind of slow. If I hit start and use the D-pad, I can actually crank up my speed and move really, really fast. And that's honestly what I recommend. Let's actually balance it out a little bit. So what we have here is a lightning attack. So you have your main attack, which is this, you know, this sort of bluish tinted shot. So we actually, I guess, press the C button to activate that. But pressing the B button when you have one of your other elemental attacks does a special attack. So this one right here is a fire attack. Let's actually go ahead and grab that. I actually like the fire attack quite a bit. It drops these bombs. Eventually it's going to drop these sort of scatter bombs that go across the screen and do pretty decent damage. And so what I do is I generally just hold down both fire buttons and just sort of rip and tear, as they would say in Doom. This blue one is a shield, which could actually be pretty handy. Not so handy right now because it's literally just a shield. It does do damage if it touches enemies, but again, it's not ideal. It's actually really good later on in the game when it's fully upgraded, because it'll actually start shooting projectiles, which is very handy. I actually missed that lightning upgrade. So if you want to actually upgrade your special weapon, you have to actually pick up the same color multiple times. If you switch to a different color, you literally just switch to that color at the same level you're currently at. It doesn't actually get bumped up a level. So I don't know why I'm sticking with this blue shield, but we'll go ahead and just roll with it. This first level is actually not too bad difficulty-wise. But there are a couple of gimmicks here. There's going to be a couple of these, like, these houses or these buildings, and they're going to be on these rails, and they're going to start shooting, like, spread shots at you and whatnot. So you have to be a little wary about that, or aware of that. That's going to be coming up here shortly. But you notice that the gameplay itself, like I said earlier, can get a little repetitious. But, you know, what I like about this game is that, you know, things do happen at a pretty rapid clip, especially later on in the game. There's a lot of stuff coming at you at all times, which is very standard for the Aleste series. This is not the first game of the series. This was kind of like an evolution of the series. You go back and you play stuff like the original Aleste or Power Strike on the Master System. You know, it's just you're being showered with enemies at all times. And this is very similar in that regard, and most of the games in the Aleste series were like that. They kind of took after the originals from the mid to late 80s, and this is no different in that regard. I'm gonna go ahead and just keep my shield here, because the next shield upgrade, again, should actually give me some projectiles, and then I think I might actually just stick with that weapon as long as possible, because it's just really good. Honestly, all the weapons in this are actually pretty decent. The final form of the fire attack actually drops this sort of like little black hole that sucks enemies towards wherever it is on the screen, which can actually be pretty handy. Now, one thing I'm not a huge fan of in this game is the homing missiles. They rely very heavily on homing missiles from enemies, and it can be very challenging. But this is the part I was talking about earlier. You've got these buildings. So what I want to do is actually try to take care of the little side orbs, which shoot out projectiles. So kind of like that, and then I'll just focus on this other one. Go to the right, do the same thing. Yep, see, we got some spread shots. So there are a couple other things I wanted to explain. You've got these canisters that drop these, well, glowing canisters. You want to pick those up. At every certain amount of canisters you get, you actually raise your little pod inventory. You can see on the top right-hand portion of the screen, there's actually a pod with a number next to it. That's how many I have left. And so those are my little helper pods on the side. And they can actually take damage and get destroyed. And that number will go down when they are blown up or destroyed. So you want to try to pick up as many of these canisters as you can, because you want to be constantly building your little pod number. And that just makes your life a whole lot easier, especially towards the end of the game. Now, if you press the A button, I'll sort of demonstrate it later. If you press the A button, you can actually change into a different position for your pods. So I've got form, which is forward. It's just my pods are just shooting straight forward. If I press A, I can go into a three-way shot. So now my pods are actually out to the side, which is nice. Which is actually handy on this boss. Because what he does, I'm going to speed up as much as I can. What he does is shoots this big spread shot that can be a little difficult to avoid when you're slow. So you want to stay fast here. Get out of the way of his projectile. Just like this. Not too terribly difficult. Now you have a bunch of other useful forms. You've got back, which is my pods are shooting backwards now. You've got reverse. This is actually one I really like, because your pods will actually shoot in the opposite direction that you're moving. So you can actually aim them manually if you're clever. Roll is they just do a 360-degree pattern. Not the most useful. And then free is a homing attack. They actually will just home into enemies. I don't like that one as much, because they're most likely to take damage and you're most likely to lose them. My idea when I play this game is to stash as many as I can to make the final levels in the game a lot easier. But again, I'm gonna go ahead and let's actually switch over to the fire shot, just to kind of show you what this is all about. And then I'll try to switch over to the lightning blast again. Now, picking up pods also boosts your main firepower. So you'll notice that my blue shot that I have, or my primary shot, it's a four-way now. It's you know, it's 4 bullets thick, or wide, I should say. So it's, you know, covers more space, it does a little more damage now. So that's another benefit to picking up your glowing pods I talked about, or your canisters. So this level has a lot of enemies that are actually huddled on the walls. Actually, I really like this level. I think it's one of the more interesting stages in the game, with having actual walls that you can't touch, as well as having a really cool mini-boss here, and having enemies actually crawling on those walls. So a bunch of levels in this game are like level 1, where it's just wide open, there are no walls you can slam into. But this level is a little more interesting because you have walls you can slam into, which will hurt you. You've got enemies crawling on them. You also have enemies that pop up from the background. Whereas the first level it's very flat and there's not a lot, or really anything, coming at you from the background or above you. I don't think anything ever comes from above in this game. That was something that was introduced with, what was it called? Robo Aleste on the Sega CD and Mega CD. I think there were some enemies that actually scaled in from above. That was using the Sega CD's internal scaling hardware. Not a huge fan of that game. I know some people really adore it, but I always felt Robo Aleste was kind of a big downgrade from Musha in terms of its level design and progression. Soundtrack is a take it or leave it. I do enjoy the Robo Aleste, you know, early 90s techno soundtrack. But I definitely prefer the more edgy rock-style music of Musha. It's definitely a much edgier soundtrack. I definitely like it a lot more than Robo Aleste. But yeah, here we go again. We got these enemies coming out from the sides. Now, one thing about some of these special weapons is that they don't feel overly powerful. And so, you know, even though you're just pummeling these enemies with projectiles, you know, it's not like you're just like ripping straight through them. You notice that my laser beam here actually stops every time it collides with an enemy. Oops, I actually slammed into the wall. That was actually really bad. So what happened there is I ended up losing my special weapon. And so kind of like some other Aleste games, some of them anyway, your special weapons can actually act as shields. So you can actually take a hit as long as you've got a special weapon. But this is the second to last power-up level for the fire attack. But it goes all the way across the screen. It's actually probably my favorite attack. I will intentionally not fully upgrade it just to not get the black hole power-up. I'd rather have a projectile that goes all the way across the screen. Alright, 2 stages down. I want to say there are only 7 levels in the game? I think it's only 7. So yeah, this is stage 3. Really cool graphical effects coming up here. You guys gotta remember, this was a very early Genesis game. This is like in the first year to year and a half the console was available. And it's got some really cool graphical effects for the time. And this coming up is one of them. And then lots of great parallax scrolling as well. The tiles fall away, revealing a chasm down below. And some kick-ass parallax scrolling kicks in. This was an effect the Genesis really excelled at, and actually looks like I took a hit too, so I ended up losing my my weapon. So I have to make sure I don't get hit by anything else, otherwise I will die instantly. And then when I die in this, I do believe that my main firepower gets downgraded completely. So I was just waiting there for that projectile or that special weapon to come farther down towards me. I didn't want to accidentally run into that enemy. Alright, so what we're going to do is actually switch down to reverse. And what I like about reverse is that my little pods sort of stay centered with me. And there's going to be some walls we have to avoid here. And if your pods are in like the 3-way or you know, some other pattern or formation, they'll actually slam into the walls and get destroyed as you're trying to, you know, get through this sort of speeder section. So yeah, switch over to reverse, make sure your pods don't touch the walls. Now if you're super fast like I am right now, what'll end up happening is your pods will actually trail behind you a little bit. They're not as fast as you are. So that's actually one downside to being at top speed, is your pods trail behind. They can potentially take some damage as a result. Alright, so I maxed out on firepower. Go ahead and switch back over to the fire shot. And what I'll probably end up doing is switch back over to the shield. And that is one issue with the little black hole thing, is that it'll actually bring enemies right towards you. Which, you know, you could accidentally slam into them. So there's definitely a risk versus reward aspect to that weapon specifically. It's funny, like back in the day I used to play with the lightning attack all the time. But in more recent times I've actually preferred to use the either the second to last power-up level of the fire attack, or the final upgraded version of the blue shield. And honestly, I think the blue shield is probably the best, because again, it's got a long-range projectile, but it still protects you, you know, right around your general vicinity, which is nice. Alright, it's a boss time. So I'm still using reverse, and I'm intentionally like moving backwards to keep it shooting directly above me, or vertically ahead. So I'm just pummeling this guy with like everything I've got. So it's basically, you know, you can see my reverse is still shooting upwards along with my main shot, and then the blue shield. So it's like a triple whammy. It's another thing I really like about the reverse formation. Man, that's such a great graphical effect, too. There's some other earlier Genesis games that do that, but it's executed extremely well in Musha. It's super clean and smooth. Alright, what I think I'm going to do is actually switch back to forward. Or three-way. Let's do three-way. The nice thing about three-way is I can still hit enemies, even if I have to dodge out to the side, whoops, really fast. Let's grab that power-up. I almost died right there. Let's actually switch back to reverse. I like the triple whammy. Let's actually switch over to this, because I can use my my spread shot here, which is very handy. I think we're going to go ahead and try to stick with this for a while. I'm going to go back into three-way again. There's going to be some major flashing coming up here shortly, in case anybody doesn't like that effect. We are up in the clouds, and it's basically like a thunderstorm starts to happen. It's pretty cool, actually. So I ended up losing my power-up, and we're right back to it. Very nice. Remember on one of my old capture cards, every time the screen would flash like this, it would lose the signal. Very frustrating. For anybody wondering, we're actually playing this on the Mr. FPGA, which is actually how I've done my last several quick plays, which has allowed me to do, you know, NES and Super Nintendo and Genesis all in the same hardware. You're gonna have to be careful here. Okay. Yeah, the second you lose your special weapon, like one more hit and you're dead. So when you have no special weapon, it can get a little tense. Let's do a reverse. There we go. All right, we're back at it. See, I've got 35 or now 36 little helper pods. Should be close to the boss fight. Not gonna upgrade. I like this three-way spread shot. It goes all the way across the screen. Covers a wide amount of screen space, or screen real estate. It's very, very handy. Watch out for these guys coming down from below. Really nice graphical effect. You know, the guys like apparently appearing below the clouds and then jumping up. It's really good for Genesis, you know, especially for, again, such an early Genesis and Megadrive game. Alright, so this is a two-phase boss, and basically ends up shooting out lots of homing missiles. And then it'll go to a formation where I think it starts shooting focused lasers. There we go. Yep. I'm using my reverse shot to get some extra hits in when I'm at a distance, since I can aim it diagonally. Very nice. And that's it. On the stage 4. Man, even the, like, that foreground scrolling layer gets the wiggle effect too. It's so nice. I'm a sucker for graphical effects like that. Alright, so this is, on normal mode, I'd say this is probably the hardest level in the game. It's very fast. And there's a couple sections where you have a lot of different turrets, which are actually, you know, very difficult to deal with. I'd say it's the most bullet-dense part of the game. I will say, like, when I'm really tired, like I am right now doing this video, this fast scrolling can be really hard on my eyes. Definitely a game I need to play when I'm, like, wide awake. Alright, mini-boss time, and this is actually going to be our primary boss of this level, too, I believe. Depending on the colored orb that hits its hands, that determines the attack that it does. So blue is a spread shot, green is a laser, much like my own. Oh, it's sad. Sad face. Alright, we should be actually hitting some airships here in a minute. Yep, right here. This is where the turrets appear, and this is where things can get really difficult. So my goal is going to be to try to take out these turrets as fast as possible. Nice. First one down. Pretty sure there's going to be another one or two, at least. Alright, here's another one. Alright, very good. Let's see, is there going to be a third one? Again, it's been a while since I played this, so I don't have these levels completely memorized. You know, when I would do Let's Plays in the past, I would basically practice the games over and over again. I'd do like 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 or 8 runs, depending on the game and how comfortable I was with it. Musha is one of those ones I generally haven't had to practice that much, but even still, when I did my dedicated Let's Plays, I did several runs of the game. But for this quick play, there was no practice. Zero practice on this one. So, I don't have the stages memorized anymore. I still have a good general idea of what's going to happen, because I have played this game a lot over the years. Again, it's one of my all-time favorite shooters, especially for the 16-bit generation. It's up there as one of my top games of that generation, just in general. All right, this is actually a reoccurring character. He's like one of our main bad guys. A little bit of a background change here, which is cool. Alright, there we go. Yep, the face is back. Happier this time. So same thing as before. Gotta watch out for the green one. Yep, there it is. Alright, sad face again. Oh, evil face now. It's a pretty wild boss design in this game in terms of like the facial expressions and stuff like that. Very creepy. I love it. So my pod that's in reverse formation is actually helping me. It's acting like a little shield in front of me. You know, I never really thought about that before. But that's actually really handy. I'm gonna say reverse is probably my favorite formation because of things like that. It's very useful. And you have full control over where it's shooting. Man, that was a good boss fight. I didn't take a single hit. I usually take a hit on that boss, and I'll end up losing my power-ups. Looks like we've got 6 lives. And 48 little helper drones. Alright, this is stage 6. This is the second to last level. So yeah, I was right. There were 7 stages in the game. I had doubted myself there for a minute. Still gonna go ahead and stick out with this fire power-up. We also have more, I don't know if they're airships or ground ships. I don't know if they're floating in this lava substance thing. But they have lots of turrets on them again. And actually on hard mode, this stage is actually pretty tough. I think on my Let's Play I might have died here a couple times. "52 helper pods. Yeah, something I didn't actually mention, I don't think I mentioned at the very beginning of this, is that this quick play was actually requested by one of my viewers on one of my quick plays probably about a month ago. So if anybody has any suggestions, you're more than welcome to suggest a quick play. I may or may not be able to get to them, it just kind of depends. But MUSHA is, like, again, one of my favorite games, so it was something I knew I could jump into without too much trouble. And it kind of gave me an excuse to play this game again. Again, since I haven't played it in a little while. So if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to post comments down below and let me know what you would like to see. Again, I may or may not be able to get to them, but if I don't get recommendations, then I don't know you guys want specific games covered. So yeah, one of the big differences here in this level is you've got these laser turrets. So you absolutely want to get rid of them if you can. I can use my reverse functionality to do that. Yeah, this is actually probably a little more difficult than the previous level, now that I think about it. I was like, oh, that previous level's probably the hardest in the game, but no, I'd actually say this one is, with all these turrets. It's too much that can go wrong here. I want that projectile. Alright, boss time. It's this guy again. Except now he's sort of got like a projectile whip. These little homing projectiles, they actually animate quite nicely. Alright, there it is. And that's it. On to our final level. So that level can be pretty challenging. I'd say if you're a beginner to the shoot 'em ups genre and you want to try this game out, you probably want to pop it on easy mode. You probably make this section, you know, a little more doable for first-time players. I do overall feel like this is a pretty good shooter for less experienced shooter players. It's not to say the game doesn't get hard at points, but I do find that a majority of the game is pretty doable. Especially the first 4 levels. I mean, that's almost 2/3 of the game. So, and then the last couple levels will require practice. Yeah, this background's gonna actually shift over to sort of like a fortress level. Yeah, right here. Would have been cooler if there was like a normal transition. But still pretty cool. Alright, so these guys drop these missiles, and they cannot be destroyed. You have to sort of bait them in certain directions. So they kind of go to whatever part of the screen you're on. And we have a series of mini-bosses here as well. Alright. Moving along. Some nice parallax scrolling again. Gotta love it. Like I said earlier, Genesis was really good at that. You see it in a bunch of other shooters in particular. It's a very heavily used effect in this genre in particular on the system. Still have 57 pods. Yeah, if you die in this part right here, it's actually kind of difficult to recover. And as you can see, it's actually really good to be fully sped up on this part. Otherwise, it's really difficult to dodge all these missiles. Alright, he's probably almost dead. And that last blast can be a pain. Alright, we got through him without dying. That's good. Because again, when you die, you lose all your you lose all your upgrades. Which makes mowing through these enemies a little more difficult. Man, this game is so good. I love going back to this game. I'm glad I actually did a quick play of this. I didn't really need to, because I've already got a bunch of Let's Plays and live streams of it, but... yeah. It's still fun every time I play it. Alright, let's switch over. So you gotta sort of bait this blue barrier. And we have to hit the middle. Definitely a mean-sounding final boss tune. Ooh, I took a hit, I lost my upgrade. Alright, so right here, we have to actually hit the green weak points on the sides. And try to avoid this big bouncing ball in the process. Oh, there. Alright, so now this vertical shaft, we have to hit the orb. It's gonna shoot objects into the sides, and it's gonna create these barriers that'll kill us. I'm gonna do free. Oh no! I don't think I had died yet. We were so close to a one life clear. But yeah, this projectile this guy shoots out is actually unpredictable. So I didn't predict it running into the wall that early, and I just slammed right into it. Still, I'd say it's a pretty good run overall. I can't complain. We still have 7 lives and 40 pods. Now, we're gonna actually get trolled by our nemesis that's been tracking us throughout this playthrough. But he's easy peasy. Alright, there he is. Still gonna go ahead and just use free. I mean, why not? I've got so many pods. Oh, there's an upgrade. Could have used one on the previous section. But that's it. We just beat MUSHA on the normal difficulty. Or MUSHA Aleste. Yeah, some really nice artwork in this game too. I mean, again, like, this was a very early Genesis game, and so for all the art assets to be as good as they are, honestly, I don't think they have any right to be as good as they are. So yeah, super solid for such an early title in the system. And I think that's one of the other reasons why a lot of people kind of put this game on a bit of a pedestal, is that we didn't really see this kind of overall quality, not just with the gameplay, but like its aesthetics, you know, the graphics, the music, just the overall polish. A lot of early Genesis shooters were fun, but they weren't as polished as this was. It wasn't until, I'd say, more around like 92 that we started getting like really seriously polished Genesis shooters, and you know, like Thunder Force 4, for instance. But this was one of the earliest, if not the earliest, that's just like ridiculously polished, and it holds up very well today. It's a lot of fun. It looks great. It sounds great. It's just so good. Set the bar very high for Genesis shooters, in my opinion. So, yeah, this is actually, I think, the first time I've ever beaten the Japanese version of the game. As far as I can tell, there's not really anything different. You know, aside from the Japanese characters replacing the English characters. But yeah, if you beat this on the hard difficulty, you actually get some more screen caps in the background. So basically you end up damaged, but you're in recovery. And I guess that's the guy that we destroyed there at the very end. Yeah, man, such a great game. One of my favorite ending themes of all time, too. A lot of music in this game can be sad, but that's the kind of video game music I like. You know, I've always enjoyed that type of stuff. So that's the type of stuff that I go back and I listen to. You know, as much as I love soundtracks to like Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that, I don't listen to that stuff, but I listen to this. Like this, the ending theme in particular just gets to me. It's great. So, just gonna go ahead and let the credits roll out. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this playthrough. Thanks for the suggestions. Again, if you guys have any suggestions for games you'd like to see me play, you know, go ahead and drop a comment down below. I sort of keep a rolling list of, you know, games that have been suggested. Again, I might not get to them, but it's nice having a list. I can go through it every now and then and be like, is there anything from here that I'm in the mood for playing? And so, yeah, just definitely let me know. If you guys haven't seen it, I have a playlist with all my quick plays. There should be a card on the top right-hand portion of the screen if you want to go back through this playthrough series, or attempted playthrough series, and see if there's anything you missed out on that you might want to watch. And, yeah, I don't really have too much else to say. I'm just kind of like absorbing all these credits and the music. Oh man. Yeah, presented by Compile. 1990. That's just, it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy. It's so early. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thanks again for watching. Feel free to give the video a thumbs up. And feel free to subscribe if you're new to my channel. I haven't actually said that much on these quick plays. I've kind of gotten out of that habit. But, YouTube says if you don't do it, then no one will sub. So, subscribe! But no, really guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back with more quick plays sometime soon. As of doing this video, I'm pretty much doing them every Friday or so. So stay tuned for future quick plays. I'm trying to post them on a weekly basis. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day or night, wherever you are in the world. And I guess until the next one, take it easy.